It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions.
Touchdown, San Diego!
Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Monday? We do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, we welcome you to our Monday bonus podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, the venerable John Riley. We welcome you to our Monday bonus podcast. It is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 stores in San Diego to serve you. You got projects for 2024. We invite you to take a tour of everything they offer, any one of the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center stores. And by North County Eye Center of Poway and Escondido, we will all need help with our eyes. This is the reason you should contact them now. Right now, North County Eye Center is offering a free eye exam and a discount on frames. When you call, just mention Hacksaw's podcast. Make the appointment. Get your eyes checked out. It's free at North County Eye Center. John Riley, we got a ton of topics on the table, some of them pretty pointed and pretty controversial, and some of them going to contain some creative ideas that we have about making things better in the world of sports. And then at the end of the show, we do what we do best. We let the fans jump in here with both feet. We call it Fans Forum. Just explain to everybody that's piled onto the live stream how Fans Forum works.
Okay, well, this is your chance to get involved with Hacksaw, and it's funny. It's like we start this thing before we go live. We kind of have like an alert on YouTube, and even before we go live, people are jumping in, including Roberto. So we're going to get everybody involved. If you have a question or comment on anything in the world of sports for Hacksaw, just drop it in the live chat on YouTube, Facebook, or X.
And a reminder, if you've never checked my sports website, what the hell's wrong with you? We write on it every day. It's there every morning. You won't find this amount of content anywhere else. And when you go to my website, there's a big orange box right on the upper right-hand side. Fill that out. We want you to join our team. It's called Hacksaw's Insiders Group. That'll put you on our email list. You'll get a ton of information about all the unique things we're doing. Share, subscribe, because when you subscribe, you will get alerts all hours of the day and sometimes in the middle of the night. That's on John. He does it that way. You'll get alerts about all the things we're adding to our YouTube channel. John, we're going a lot of different directions today. Let's just start with the topic in town, Padre Baseball.
Padre Baseball, and we thought they had a chance here for a sweep, Lee, and it didn't really work out.
That's the headline, and that's what we're going to talk about. This general manager in the past, A.J. Preller, has really been bold. This general manager has built some winning teams. He's built some disappointing teams. He's spent any volumes of money. He's made unbelievable trades at all hours in the days and nights. By the way, read my One Man's Opinion column on my website today because I talk about Preller. It's time for the Padres to be bold. They got injury issues. They lose Yu Darvish. They lose Joe Musgrove. Big issue. Darvish has a groin injury, probably going to be gone 15 days. Musgrove, reoccurrence of the tricep elbow area. They're not saying it. I think Joe Musgrove has a worsening bone spur situation in the elbow, and that's not good news. They're insinuating 4 weeks minimum, if not longer, and now suddenly the Padres are wafer thin in the starting rotation. Yeah, you can say Randy Vasquez. Yeah, you could say maybe Adrian Morejon and Johnny Brito in a combo start. Yeah, maybe there's somebody they're going to bring up from AAA, but there's nobody really there. They're recalling Adam Mazur, who's got an ERA of 7.1 and 1-1 at El Paso, and you're going to give him the ball. Rob Snelling is kind of stalled at AA San Antonio. He's not ready. So they got an issue. Solve the issue. What's the area code for Mexico City?
Good question.
Call Trevor Bauer.
Yeah.
Period, exclamation point, end of conversation. Lots of reasons why they should call Trevor Bauer. Oh, geez, look what's going on. Padre fans are piling in on Fans Forum already. Trevor Bauer, 5-0, 1.50 ERA, Mexico City Diablos Rojos. Last year, he was exiled. He pitched Yokohama Bay Stars, Japan, 10-3, best pitcher in the league. Has he learned something about the road he walked down that got himself in a lot of trouble? I think he has. He has stayed off social media in terms of any controversial content. He has just been relegated to being buried outside the circle of Major League Baseball and once back in, and is willing to take a veteran's minimum contract to prove himself, to regain his reputation as a pitcher, to regain to a degree his reputation as a person. I think the Padres need to look at this. How do you do this? You give him the veteran's minimum because he is a vested veteran. I think his career record's like 83 and 50. It's probably $2.5 million. You give him bonus incentives based on the number of quality starts he has going forward the rest of the year. You know, maybe the total value of the contract if the guy pitches lights out might be $5 million. That's not a bad investment. You insert a clause in there that you will stay off social media for the next 4 months. You know, you're investing in him to help salvage your pennant hopes. He's investing in you with the opportunity to give me the ball every fifth day, get the hell out of the way, and let me do what I do. It could be win-win for both. I don't think it's lose-lose because the guy can still pitch. John Q. Fan, you please tell me how you respond to John Q. Fan about you're giving this guy, you want this guy to represent your crest at Petco Park based on what he's done 3 different occasions, quote, sexual misconduct, rough sex with women, never charged, lost a ton of money by the decisions he made when the commissioner's office investigated and took him out of baseball for what turned out to be a 190-game suspension over a year and a half. They need a frontline starter. We don't know whether Musgrove is going to be Musgrove going forward. You got the Darvish situation. Between those guys now, they've been on the disabled list a combined 4 times, and John, it's only the first week of June. I would look really seriously at Trevor Bauer, because anytime you make a deal to get a pitcher from somewhere else, he's got to be in ready-to-pitch mode. Well, this guy's pitching every 5 or 6 days in Mexico City. He is in ready-pitch mode. You know, if you bring up somebody from minor leagues, is he going to be able to pitch at this level? If you think there's any street free agents out there, there are hardly any. Even if you found one, it would take a month to ramp him up to get him ready to pitch. Max effort in a rotation. Upside, Bauer the pitcher. Downside, yeah, Bauer the person. If I'm AJ Preller, I tell my fans, this is what he signed. This is what he agreed to. If he steps over the line, he forfeits all of his money. It's probably the end of his career. And I tell my fans, we want to win in October. He gives us the best chance to get to October, maybe postseason. And I tell my fans, I believe second chances. And by the way, second chance, Trevor Bauer equals last chance, Trevor Bauer. If I were king, that's what I would do. And what does my co-host John Riley have to say?
Okay, there's a lot there. I think you got a lot of it right, but there's a couple of things I want to ask you about. First of all, the Padres definitely have a pitching problem. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, I don't know if we can count on Musgrove. What the Darvish thing is a hamstring. Maybe he comes back in a week or two. But yeah, they need pitching. And you know, well, I'm interested in seeing the kid coming up. He's pitching on Tuesday. You know, Mazer, that'll be good. Now, from a baseball perspective, yeah, get Bauer sounds terrific. You get a frontline guy, a guy you can count on. He's got track record, does you everything you need as a pitcher. But and the whole point about second chances and the PR spin with the Padres, they could make that work if they wanted to. They're sticking their neck out a little bit for this guy. They could get burned, but the second chance thing might work. The part that I doubt is there's so many good vibes in the Padre clubhouse right now, especially with Arise. He's brought a lot. Profar's having a great year. He's got the beaming smile. Everyone's having a good time. Would Trevor Bauer disrupt the chemistry, especially given that the woman he got involved with and turned into the big story is also linked to Tatis, supposedly, allegedly. So can you see that maybe the stew getting cooked the wrong way in the clubhouse?
No, because he's an outsider with tin cans attached to his tail. He's got a lot of baggage that he brings into that clubhouse. He will be there. He will be a pitcher. He will be silent. And there will be people who will tell him, this is the lane you're in. You're not going over any guardrail going forward because it'll be the end of your career. Second chance, last chance. and he's a proven commodity. You're not going to find that on the waiver wire unless A.J. Preller is going to start trading more prospects for somebody else's pitcher. This is a one-time investment for 4 months, and they have a lot to gain by it. He's got even more to gain by it by staying between the guardrails. Yay? Nay?
Yeah, well, he does have a lot to gain, but his personality, we know that he likes to kind of stir it up. We know that he loves the attention of social media. And if Preller or someone said, hey, no posting on Twitter anymore, I don't think he could agree to that. And frankly, I think that's the wrong message that the Padres should be sending this guy. Yeah, if you get in trouble with the law, or if you get in trouble with women, it's like legitimate assault. Yeah, that's a problem. But if you're just kind of having fun on social media and you're talking about whatever he talks about, that to me, that's fine. To me, that adds excitement and interest to the team. But I still question whether or not this is going to work, because remember when Tatis hit the home run off him and Tatis was rounding the bases, covering one eye and all that smack going on. And I know that was all done in fun, but I do wonder if deep down they all know each other, all these guys. And I wonder if they just think that, that Trevor Bauer is just kind of a jerk. Maybe he is, and that would disrupt the chemistry.
Except he's a jerk who's 83 and 50 as a starter. And if you look at Major League rosters, there are a bunch of jerks at a lot of different clubs.
Yeah.
Quick side note here, Padres, Angels. This has the history. This could have been a really great rivalry over many years because Orange County is one stop north of us on the train. But it hasn't really become the rivalry because they hardly ever play. In interleague plays, the first time the Padres have played at Angel Stadium in eons. Right time for them to play. Padres, play a team that is 7-21 at home. Angels have the worst record at home in Major League Baseball.
Worse than the Padres.
32-30, the Padres are. Here's an interesting sidebar story. The big three, the Padres, the highest paid group, collecting $79 million, Tatis, Machado, and Xander, are hitting a combined 236. 236 from the big three. Dodgers' big three, Mookie, Freddie, Shohei, hitting a combined 331. Yankees' big three, Judge, Soto, Stanton, hitting 301. And the Phillies, best record in baseball, their big three, Bryce Harper, Turner, Real Muto, combined 289. Padres, 236 batting average from the big three. Jeez.
Yeah, that ain't cutting it. And even Fernando, he's sitting below 250. And then Machado as well, like around 230 or something. And it was Bogarts, wasn't he like right around the Mendoza line? 214. So, yeah, that's a disgrace. Thank God for a rise in Profar and Cronenworth kind of carrying the load.
Just amazing. And then Manny pulls out of his vest his favorite card.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see at the end of the season. Yeah, the back of the baseball card statement.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
So that's where we are with Padre Baseball. Fans Forum chat box is open. There are no excuses accepted. Padre fan, do you agree with me? They need to be bold. Make the phone call to Mexico City. What is the area code, please? I'll forward it on to A.J. Preller. Would you accept Trevor Bauer here, or is that a reach too far across the border because of his past track record beyond his 80-53 career record? We go from the Padres to the next team.
To the L.A. Dodgers, and there's always some churn with that pitching staff, isn't there, Lee?
Well, they're churning. They're 39-23. So they have hot spells. They have cold spells. Now they're hot again. They're off today. They go to Pittsburgh. This is going to be interesting. Their big three, they're going to face Paul Skeens of the Pirates.
Awesome.
The hot rookie, the number one draft pick who's had 4 really good starts. Flamethrower, 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Had 13 fastballs over 100 miles an hour the last start, which is just amazing. 2.50 ERA in his first group of Major League starts. So the big bats go against Paul Skeens and a couple of the other young Pirate pitchers. News and notes, Dodgers, up and down. Walker Buehler, up and down, up and down. For every good start, the next start turns out to be shaky. Buehler, he got roughed up last start. I think he went 6 innings, gave up 4 runs, wound up losing again. ERA is still high. Velocity is still there. Clayton Kershaw, first true sim game, faced 6 batters, but he was only clocked at 88 miles an hour. So the velocity's not there yet. No physical problems with the shoulder nor the back. tough setback. Bobby Miller, who got hurt real early. He was the rookie last year, pitched so well, had 3 starts here. He's been laid up since April with the shoulder tightness, the lat. He got roughed up in his first outing in rehab. He went 3 innings. His velocity was way off. Doesn't have any physical woes, feels fine, but because of the shoulder woes, his velocity's not there, so it does not look like he's ready. So we're keeping track not only what the big 3 at the top of the Dodger batting order are doing, also keeping track of these pitchers. One is back. They're hoping a second one's coming. Very quiet on the Dustin May front. Have no idea his situation. It's obvious he's not been allowed to throw sim games yet at the extended spring training in Camelback Ranch, and obviously he's still a ways away from being able to do rehab assignments. So that's your Dodger update. And John Riley says,
I wish the Padres had those options, you know, of like former Cy Young Award winners coming off the injured list. Buehler, though, it's funny. I can always think of Ferris Bueller whenever his name comes up, but I saw one where he walked into the dugout and he was blowing stuff up, throwing helmets and getting really angry about his start.
He's a pretty fierce competitor.
Yeah.
But it takes time. I mean, we have seen he's had 2 really good starts. He had 6 shutout innings prior start. But it takes time. Good outing, not so good outing. Maybe good outing. What happens the outing after that? So this whole thing.
Pitchers are just such delicate creatures, aren't they?
Well, especially when they get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're getting hurt left and right. Back in the 70s, when they had 4-man rotations, it seemed like they didn't get hurt as much.
Oh, you just keep pulling out this Glavine Smoltz thing from back in Atlanta.
Well, even before that, like Jim Palmer, he had like a 4-man rotation with the Orioles.
Yeah, you know, the Steve Carlton striking out 362 guys in one season. We'll never see that again. Well, that was Randy Johnson, not Steve Carlton. Third topic on the table.
Okay.
Other team here.
The Angels, and you said the Padres are going to Anaheim right now. I'm interested to see how bad this team really is.
Well, it really is right now. It's a struggle. I feel bad for Ron Washington. He's got no players, and his pitching staff is in tatters. Their batting order is full of holes. They got young draft picks, and they're force-feeding them all, but the problem is they just can't do it on a game-in, game-out basis. I'll give you a prime example. They drafted Joe Adell, power-hitting outfielder, 5-6 years ago. It's taken him forever to get to the major leagues, and they kept sending him back because he couldn't hit. Well, he's got like 11 home runs this season, but he's batting .203, and he strikes out. And this is now a young veteran who's only hitting .203, a high number 1 pick. Mickey Moniak, high number 1 pick. He's hitting .163 this season. Now, he had a kind of a bounce-back season last year. They do get an odd good game from the kid catcher, Logan O'Hoppe, the shortstop, Zach Nieto, the first baseman, Chanel, but they don't get any consistency at all. All those guys are hitting in low numbers, and occasionally they'll pop a Grand Slam home run. The journeyman, Kevin Pillar, ex-Toronto, Atlanta, hitting .340. Now, he's cooled down a little bit, but at least he's hitting. Everybody else, the Brandon Drurys of the world, they're all struggling. And the pitching staff is in tatters. They just sent Reed Detmers back to Salt Lake City. That was a number 1 pick who came firing out of the gate, and he said, there's their ace. At one point, he was 3-0. His ERA since that point in time is like 8.28. They just sent him back to Salt Lake City. And Patrick Sandoval, who I thought was going to emerge as an ace last year, he's scuffling and struggling again. They're 21-38. They're 7-21 at home. And it's misery. They just don't have anywhere near enough players. So go ahead, talk to the people in Orange County. Take them off the ledge so they don't jump.
Well, Orange County people, I mean, you're Angel fans, but they had Phil Nevin, and Phil Nevin was a pretty good manager. And so when they brought in Ron Washington, they want to have a new philosophy. I'm thinking, okay, well, then bring in some talent for Washington to manage.
Ron's great to manage young kids. They don't have any veterans that you say, that's a cornerstone of my roster.
No, they have nothing like that, except Trout, who's hurt all the time. So, I mean, it's just everything. There's no strategy. You don't see a vision with the Angels. You don't know what in the F, Artie Moreno is doing over there. It's like they're just treading water and spinning in circles.
Circling the drain?
Yeah,
yes.
Like exactly. I mean, I understand the Dodgers strategy. I understand the Padres strategy. Right or wrong, I get it. I know what the vision is. I have no clue with the Angels.
Angel fan. Hey, we got followers because when I do my one man's opinion columns and my commentary on Instagram, especially relates to the Angels, it blows up.
Yeah, well, the Angel fan wants some love.
Angel fan, join us on Fans Forum. Padre fan, If you're just joining us, the topic on the table is Trevor Bauer. Padres need to be bold. Agree or disagree, jump in to Fans Forum. One other baseball note before we get to halftime.
Yeah, here's a bunch of names here in the news here on and off the field.
Tampa Bay's having a really wretched season. A lot of injuries to the pitching staff. The Rays have 5 starting pitchers on the DL, a couple of them season-ending elbow surgeries. Wander Franco, the all-star shortstop, he is still in limbo. Commissioner's office yesterday extended his name on the commissioner's exempt list through the middle of July. He was the one who was under investigation, has been charged with having a, quote, relationship with a young girl, quote, age 14, paying the mother, bribing the mother to allow the relationship to happen. Since then, 2 other teenagers underage have surfaced in the Caribbean, said, yeah, I had a relationship with him too. Wander Franco's in big trouble. Baseball removed him in August, would not let him come to spring training, still removed. They extended this thing till mid-July. He's going back into court sometime here in the next week and a half in the Caribbean. I think it's in Dominican Republic, and we'll see if they actually he has to enter a plea or whether or not they just carry this forward and have a trial. I don't think he's going to play baseball for a period of time. So that's a big issue there. New York Mets, I don't know if you caught any of this. Their relief pitcher, Jorge Lopez, had a meltdown on the field. He was arguing with umpires. Now, he had a couple of good years in Baltimore, went to Minnesota, wound up with the Mets when he got let go, trying to recapture his stuff. Had really vibrant stuff when he first broke into the major leagues. Anyhow, he falls apart on the mound, gives up a home run, coming off the mound, gets into a heated argument with the umpire. Then he gets ejected, and then he rips his shirt, takes his glove, throws it into the stands, has a tirade in the dugout, goes into the clubhouse after the game. He's telling the media, this is the worst effing organization in Major League Baseball. I'm a bad teammate. Well, he said he was putting it on himself for being a bad teammate, but the only thing the New York media heard was this is a bad effing organization. Right. Well, the Mets are having a miserable season. So they DFA'd him at 11 o'clock that night after the incident at 10:30. Just out of here. Now we find out that he's got a young child who needs a transplant surgery. Mm-hmm. So he's mentally afraid about that. We find out that there's a bit of a mental health issue helped by meds, that he got off the meds and he's gone. The Mets, man, they hit the react button awful quick. Should they not help him a little bit more rather than tossing him out in the street because of this tantrum? Tantrum looked really bad. But at the end of the day, he's dealing with so much other stuff, aside from not being able to throw balls and strikes at this point, to what's going on with his family and how he's handling his own mental health. So I was a little bit surprised the Mets didn't solve that. The other sidebar story, the Mets just honored Darryl Strawberry over the weekend. They retired uniform number 18. And he gave a 19-minute speech at Citi Field to Mets fans. And he did a lot in his major league career. He had 335 career home runs. There was a lot of controversy because of alcohol, substance abuse, drugs, etc. And he wound up moving around Major League Baseball. And he's had health problems more recently. But he opened his statement at home plate at Citi Field with an apology to all New York Met fans and to the organization. Said, I was not the best player I could have been. I was not the best person I should have been. And I really, really regret that. So that was kind of an interesting story. And then the other story, you and I have talked extensively, John, about injuries to pitchers. And it's another setback. Baltimore has lost John Means. He threw a no-hitter a couple of years ago. He's headed for his 3rd surgery, forearm elbow. Oh. And this was a no-hit pitcher who had lively stuff, and he has spent 2.5 years trying to get back. Got back, pitched 4 times, I think, for the Orioles this season, and they've shut him down again. They've also lost Tyler Wells, one of the relief pitchers. He's going to have elbow surgery. I think the Birds have had 5 different pitchers have forearm and elbow problems just this season alone. So, John, it's yours. The floor is yours to talk about the Tampa Bay shortstop, Jorge Lopez, and what's going on in Baltimore.
You know, I've just been hearing about the Jorge Lopez stuff peripherally, and it did sound like at least one of the announcers or sports columnists was talking about how English second language. And he said, I'm a terrible teammate, as opposed to saying this is a terrible team. I can see how that could happen. But it just seems like the Mets are trying to be this macho team. You know, you challenge us, call us crappy. Well, you're out of here. You know, to your point, yeah, I mean, you got to work with this dude, but clearly what he did was off the hook. I mean, throwing stuff into the stands and going on a tirade. So there's a lot going on there. Yeah, some mental issues. I love the Mets story about Darryl Strawberry. And I'm so happy that he's recognized for the greatness that he had. And he also recognizes his deficiencies as a man and how he wants to be a better man. Love all of that. And yeah, more pitching injuries in baseball now with Baltimore.
We get to halftime. Our Monday bonus podcast is underway. It's great to have you with us. Podcast is brought to you by our best friends, DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center Stores, and by North County Eye Centers. John, before we get started the second half, let's just remind everybody, Fans Forum, when we're done here, you and I, they take over the Monday podcast. How does everybody that joins us join us for Fans Forum to express questions, opinions, comments, and cheap shots?
Yeah, cheap shots are in the list here. I can already see them. Roberto and John and Steve and Octavio and 4RXLA and Steve and George and Adam and Phyllis are all piling in. I see Richard and even Mesa Stormy and Schickster. I mean, it's amazing how many people jump in on the live chat. We love it. You got a question or comment for Lee, type it in the live chat on Facebook, X, or YouTube, and we'll get you involved.
And our Monday bonus podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Regardless of what the project is, whether it's kitchen cabinets, whether it's flooring, whether it's closets, whether it's windows and doors, when you need help, we invite you to go where John and I go, DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. And our Monday bonus podcast brought to you by North County Eye Centers of Poway and Escondido. You are like us. We're all going to need help with our eyes. And when that time comes, we want you to think North County Eye Center. Why? Look at what they're offering everyone who's with us on our HACKSAW'S podcast. Free eye exam and discount on frames. You need to have your eyes checked? Do it now and take them up on the free offer. And of course, when you've got bigger issues, think North County Eye Center, Poway and Escondido, because they can handle all the procedures you need done. I always tell people, we're all going to need help with our eyes sometime. When that time comes, including the free eye exam right now, call them, tell them, Hacksaw sent you on his podcast, North County Eye Center, Poway, Escondido. And we go to the second half of our podcast, and we have covered a ton of topics as it relates to all things baseball. John, we're headed to the final week of OTAs, then the veteran mini camps. NFL football now moves front and center as a topic, too.
Yeah, NFL football is like 12 months a year, Lee. Let's break out the newest headlines for you.
Okay, let's start with the Chargers situation. They obviously are rebooting their offense under the new coach, Jim Harbaugh. They lost a lot of skilled people at wide receiver. They drafted a wide receiver in Ladd McConkey. They signed a bunch of tight ends. This tight end's got talent. They got to keep him healthy. But it is really interesting. His name is Hayden Hurst. He broke in with the Baltimore Ravens and was really productive. And then he got hurt. And then he went to Carolina and he was really productive. Then he had concussion problems. Anyhow, he comes into the Chargers camp and in the OTAs just at the end of last week. He caught 6 passes in one 11-on-11 drill. He's big, he's physical, he can run, and he's boom. They may have found something in Hayden Hurst if they can keep him on the field. So that's the Charger update. This is interesting in the Raider Nation. You know, we've hardly gotten any Raider people. Maybe they don't know how to use computers, the internet. Maybe they don't have one, but they'll get one, they'll steal one. Hey, Raider Nation, let me give you an update on what's gone on. You know, they lost Josh Jacobs. He left, free agent, gone to Green Bay, really productive guy. They got 2 guys they really like. They've kind of named Zamir White, kid out of Georgia, second-year guy, powerful young running back with speed. He's going to be their starter. And Alex Madison, who came from the Minnesota Vikings, is going to be running back 1A. They think they got the right running backs there. And in terms of the quarterback competition, well, they were given a good look at Aiden O'Connell from Purdue. He got supplanted this past week by Gardner Minshew. And to use a term that Antonio Pierce likes to use because it's street cred talk, guy's a baller. They really like him. It looks like Gardner Minshew has pushed himself to the front. Raider Nation, Fans Forum, want to hear what you've got to say. Broncos, unique and different group offensively. Pretty impressed wide receiver core. Now, they got to keep them on the field because injuries have been a byproduct of those guys wearing the Bronco helmet. Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, the rookie from Oregon, Troy Franklin, has been dazzling. and journeyman Josh Reynolds. Bo Nix, large number of snaps ahead of Zach Wilson. So it looks like we're starting to see the components are going to fit the Sean Payton offense. Cleveland Browns, it's awful early. They paid a hell of a price, gave a guaranteed contract to Deshaun Watson that upset everybody. Watson's only practicing every other day. And now we're about to go to the veterans minicamp. He's not throwing at all in the 11-on-11s. He had the severe shoulder injury. Not sure what to read into that. Are they protecting him? Are they babysitting him? Or is it an issue that he's not ready to play on a regular basis? Nick Chubb, running back, major knee surgery, second of his career, totally healthy. And they made some trades in the offseason to get help. They got Amari Cooper, had an unbelievable season. They are really excited about this guy they got from New York, Elijah Moore. And Jerry Jeudy, young, small speed guy from Denver, they think they got every base covered at wide receiver. And then there's the Rams, and this is a bit of a surprise. Steve Abala, offensive guard, number 1 pick last year, played every snap. They really like him. In fact, the Rams rebuilt offensive line, had a really good season. They've just moved Abala from offensive guard into offensive center, and they think he is a real stud. And the other thing, obviously there is no more Aaron Donald there. Rams are pretty impressed with their kid defensive front. Number 1 pick, Jared Verse. Number 2 pick, the defensive tackle, Brandon Fiske. And then the young guys that played a lot last year around Aaron Donald, Kobe Turner, Brian Young. All of a sudden, Rams defensive front is young, fast, physical. Now, it's a 17-game schedule ahead of those kids, but right now, Sean McVay is really impressed. So that's my NFL notebook. John, pick a team, pick on somebody, say what you want.
Well, the Raiders in situation is interesting because Gardner Minshew was always this like really good backup, and now we always you always said he was a gunslinger. Now he's getting first team reps. I think it's exciting for the Raiders. And then meanwhile, I read in the One Man's Opinion this morning. Or was it in Best 15? Pardon me. That Jimmy G is gone, right? The Raiders
he's in San Francisco, but he's suspended.
Suspended?
Yeah, 2-game PED violation.
Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yes.
Really?
It was an accident, but it happened. It doesn't matter because he'll always get hurt. But he's a backup. Right now, he's going to be third string in San Francisco to start the season.
I'm surprised that guy still has a career.
He's living off what he did in the past, but he's also now playing for minimum dollars.
Right.
So that's where we are with the National Football League. Let's go from football. Next topic on the table. Oh, can't wait for Thursday night.
Yeah, Celtics, Mavericks. I didn't expect the Mavericks to get this far, but boy, they've had a great run.
Boston, Dallas, game 1 Thursday. A, they're all healthy now. B, they're really going to be rested, and this will be fun. Do you know Boston has won 76 games this season? I mean, it's an amazing statistic. 64-18 in the regular season. And they sledgehammer their way through the playoffs. They're 12-2 in postseason. They have 76 wins. How amazing is that? And they're just blowing the doors off everybody. I went back and looked at the numbers. Boston in the playoffs, get this, has won by 15, 16, 20, 20, 24, 25, and 35. They're just running and gunning. Now, the Mavericks, 15-1 at the end of the season to get to the postseason. And they're 12-5 since that time. And they play a different type of basketball. They grind. And obviously they got Kyrie Irving and they got Luka Doncic. They've won 5 games in the playoffs in the final possession. So you got high-octane Boston, grind and beat on you Dallas. They're going to play each other Thursday. I think it's going to be a great series.
Has Kyrie Irving, is he rehabilitated? Is he a guy that we can trust, not just on the court, but with his character?
It's really interesting. Mark Cuban made a comment, I think it was on Friday night. He said, he was asked specifically about what's flipped, because Kyrie has always had great talent, and Kyrie was always unhappy. And Kyrie won in Cleveland with LeBron and then wanted out away from LeBron, and he went to Boston, and he went to Brooklyn. It's just been a bloody disaster. And it was always about him and his unhappiness. And Mark Cuban made the statement, we decided to sit and listen to Kyrie.
Really?
Rather than tell Kyrie. And he said it's just evolved. And I think Doncic has had a lot of impact in Kyrie's mental approach to being a better teammate. And so far, so good. And boy, when you look at the raw stuff on the floor, he is so gifted, but he's been such a jerk everywhere he's been that he drags that baggage with him into the next stop. in his NBA career. But I think this series is really going to be good. Okay, we go from that. We're talking hockey. Canada Network will be jumping on board. I'm sure they got some opinions.
Yeah, look at this. NHL Notebook. A lot of it, Stanley Cup is getting started.
Oh, we're ready. Florida Panthers going to the finals, second year in a row. Overwhelmed the New York Rangers. Florida's got goal scorers everywhere. Florida's got a pretty good goaltender in Sergei Bobrovsky. Florida just wears you out. Wave after wave after wave. And they do bang. Here's the best quote I've heard through the whole playoff series. Paul Maurice, head coach Florida, was asked about the ruggedness, the toughness, the cheap shots in the series against the Rangers. He stood up and looked at the guy in the media, looked around the room and said, well, there've been no arrest yet. That's the way Florida plays. And they choked off the New York Rangers. Holy cow. We have a missing persons bulletin for Artemi Panarin, Micah Zibanejad, Chris Kreider. All their goal scorers in New York disappeared in the playoffs. I mean, Florida just banged bodies the whole series. So Florida moves back to the finals. The Rangers go home. Edmonton, phenomenal special teams. I broadcast hockey for a long time. I've never seen this type of power play production. Edmonton eliminated the Dallas Stars on Sunday night. Oilers, 19 power play goals in the playoffs. 19.
That's incredible.
No, incredible is what they did killing penalties. Opponents with a man advantage, playoffs, 0 for 28. Wow. I mean, the Oilers are just playing phenomenal team hockey. Dallas, and the game Sunday night, Dallas outshot Edmonton on Oilers ice 35-10, 35-10, 35-10, and lost. I mean, the Oilers got good goaltending from Stuart Skinner, who's rebounded after the big benching the series prior. And Edmonton, for the first time in the Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl era, has gone to the finals. So you got Florida's physicality against Edmonton's speed and gunners. I think the Stanley Cup's going to be pretty doggone cool.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And I was just watching that game, Florida and the Rangers, and it was interesting how they said in the third period that the Panthers just really know how to grind you down. And the goal differential in the third period was very lopsided.
They wear you out. They just wave after wave of forecheckers, and they finish their checks, and it's body on body, and they bang you, and all of a sudden the other team is just wilted because they just keep taking these hits trying to get the puck into the end.
Well, can I just say one other thing about the Florida Panthers? I don't like their logo. I don't like the name Panthers. I mean, they play in Miami, right? I mean, I like the Heat, the Dolphins. Those guys got the team names right. The Panthers, I mean, I know there's Panthers in the southeast part of the country, I mean, including in Carolina. That doesn't work for me. And besides, their shield, their logo is very boring.
Jeez. Don't be afraid to throw cold water on something. And you probably don't like the idea the fans throw those rubber rats on the ice when the Panthers win.
I like that.
Now,
and by the way, don't get me started on the Lakers or the Jazz either.
Hey, Canada Network, would you please call and explain to him the marketing of the Florida Panthers? I like their uniforms. They're very different, distinct. I like their crest.
The uniform's cool. I agree.
Okay, so we go from that. Oh, this is going to be a good segment. Final segment on our Monday bonus podcast before we go to Fans Forum. John, are you ready for this?
The high-speed SPORTSWIRE. Are we there already, Lee?
Yeah, we're going to go a lot of different directions. Let's start, first of all, with the Los Angeles Times. He was here as a columnist for a whole group of years. Left, went to the LA Times. He was one of their lead sports columnists for a long time, and he's passed. Very controversial, very opinionated. Very off the center. T.J. Simers has passed away at the age of 73, brain tumor. He made a career. He thought his role as a columnist was to mock you, mock everybody. Just throw anything on the wall and see if you responded to what T.J. had to say.
Sounds like you.
Thank you. No, I'm not a curmudgeon, but that's the way he operated. But it was funny because I think those of us in the media kind of respected the style because it was so different, and it was must-read columns in both the papers because then we had to see what happens after he wrote about whomever and the way he felt about that. Irreverent was thy name. That was his style. The most amazing aspect of the end of his career, He sued and beat the LA Times $7 million for age discrimination.
Really?
He was having health problems. They moved him off the beat, tried to reassign him. He said, you can't do that. I said, yes, we can. Sued and won $7 million. They appealed. They won the appeal. He went back in a second time and sued him, and he won $15 million the second time.
Good for him.
Yeah, the guys in the media were going, way to go.
Yeah.
Anything against management, way to go. But I'll tell you what, and I crossed paths with him a long time ago. I had a long relationship with him, some days better than others. He was the first one that went after the Spanoses. Nobody had done that in his community. He called them the Spanos Goofs. He made fun of Dean being chauffeured around with a driver in his Bentley. And TJ kept saying, I'm out parking Dean Spanos' parking space right out front of the complex, the fortress as I called it, because they locked the media out of it. He just banged on the Chargers. Here's the greatest TJ Charger story I can tell you, and there were a lot of them. Back in the early years when I was here as voice of the Chargers, we had a coach, Dan Henning.
Oh, yeah.
And this is when we all had pretty good relationships, coaching staff, PR staff, media, before we all became the enemy. Well, Henning decided we're going to close workouts certain days a week, no media access. So the Chargers at Qualcomm Stadium, their practice field was way at the end of the parking lot by the highway. And it was all kinds of construction going on. So the media was really peeved about the fact we don't get access. So we have to wait for 3 hours, and then we have limited number of people. It was the beginning of the changing of the relationships for all NFL teams. So TJ wrote about it. And all around the practice field, there was all these big piles of dirt because there was all parking lot construction going on. So one day, I think it was a Thursday, maybe it was a Friday, and we'd been locked out, as we always were on Thursdays and Fridays. TJ and the media, he said, come, we're going to stand on the dirt pile and we'll watch practice from a distance with binoculars. He got an exotic dancer.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not making this stuff up. And we had, quote, an exotic dancer, a.k.a. stripper, on the pile of dirt doing this while the guys were practicing.
Yeah.
So then we became a distraction to Dan Henning's team because he didn't want us on the sidelines as a distraction. And, you know, my response, and I like Dan Henning, my response is, what the hell, we're going to report your practice in 3 and out? Your team is 4 and 12. So anyhow, so TJ got an exotic dancer, a.k.a. stripper, to stand on the pile of dirt right by the gate as the Charger players were practicing. It was utterly hilarious. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, he went after everybody. TJ went after his daughter's new husband. He's got this daughter's...
In one of his columns?
Yeah. Really great. His daughter's a really special girl. Very successful in a career. Not in journalism, it's something like public relations. Anyhow, so she marries this guy, which is fine. And, of course, TJ is paying for the wedding and blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And TJ finds out the incoming son-in-law, college degree and all, was bagging groceries. That's what he was doing with his career. So he started to refer to the son-in-law as the grocery bagger. And he'd write columns about the grocery bagger. Can't believe the Chargers lost to the Raiders. He went on and
That's
on.
harsh.
TJ went after Kobe Bryant. If you recall, young Kobe had married, got involved in a sexual assault allegation, Colorado.
Yeah.
To solve it, he bought his wife, Vanessa, a $4 million rock ring.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm. And TJ said, Kobe, expensive weekend, eh? He's also the one that told Shaq, you ought to mix in a salad once in a while. He got into it with Bobby Ross. It was really funny because Bobby Ross was no nonsense, no BS. And he wrote, Ross's first year was really rugged. He inherited a bad team under Bobby Beathard. They were 0-4 out of the gate, and they were just really scuffling. They had refugees at quarterback, etc. And he said, Boss Ross, you're 0-4. I think you should go back to Bill and Mary, William and Mary, where Bobby first broke into coaching.
Bill and Mary.
Ross blew his lid. And TJ was also one of the first reporters back in the day around the horn on ESPN.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so he was positioned with guys from Boston, Miami, etc. He was the L.A. rep and all that. And he just woke up one day and said, why the hell are we wasting time doing this, talking about this. They booted him off the TV show. I got along with well, not all the time. You know, when Jim Rome called me, instead of Hacksaw, he started calling me Butter Knife. I kind of responded to that. I said, well, I think that's pretty funny. Oh, by the way, Romy, the next press conference you go to and ask a tough question with the first press conference you've ever gone to and asked a tough question. I just kind of zinged them good.
Good.
And, of course, then we had the Jim Everett issue with Jim Rome. And I told TJ, you know, we were all standing in the newsroom at the old 690 when that happened. And I knew something was going to happen because Romy had just been pushing, calling him Chrissy Everett. And I said, when Everett stood up and Rome went backwards and nearly fell off the stage, a lot of guys at 690 were cheering because they thought Rome got what Rome deserved. I gave him the title, TJ, page 2. I said, your stuff's not good enough to be on page 1 of the LA Times anymore, huh? Page 2 columnist, TJ Simers. By the way, be careful because the next one will be on the obituary page. Ooh. And then when you call him, I had him on and I had a good relationship with him, and he wouldn't say hello. Wouldn't ask, how are you? He'd just pick up the phone. TJ here. He went on and on and on. And then I did ask him one time in a heated moment, is it, and I said it on the air, is it true that the initials TJ stand for total jerk? I didn't think that was very funny, but he was a man cut from a different cloth. He did it his way, had a real tough end to his life. He had a brain tumor, and they fought like hell for a better part of a year. He'd been in hospice for a long period of time. So, like him or dislike him, give him credit for who he was and what he thought the role should be. TJ Simers passes away at the age of 73. Quick comment, NBA Finals. The show is over. Inside the NBA, great pregame, great postgame. Ernie Johnson, Sir Charles, Kenny the Jet, Shaq. Final time, TNT does not have the championship round. A lot of snide comments in the final broadcast. Barkley obviously is going to become a, quote, hot free agent in the broadcast world. He stands up on the set and he looks at Kenny the Jet and Ernie and Shaq. He says, I'll be working next year. Where are you going to be working? He's just zinging them away.
Good for him.
And, of course, that came a week after he ripped the TNT leadership by saying, how the hell could you screw this NBA TV contract up and lose the rights? So that's the latest there. Washington Post. I may be in the electronic media. He has become a fan of sports. I believe in newspapers. You need investigative reporting, whether it's Richard Milhouse Nixon and Watergate or the crapola with Trump. You need investigative reporting. Washington Post just on Friday changed all their hierarchy, and they're going to restructure everything they're doing. This is one of the great newspapers in the world. $77 million in debt from last year's operation. Wow. Newspaper business is really, really different. So they're going to need to how to figure out subscriptions, digital. They need to catch up to the greatness of the New York Times and the financial success the Boston Globe is. And by the way, out here on the left coast, the LA Times is a shell of what it used to be, and a number 2 market in the country. It's to me, it's absolutely stunning what they've allowed this thing to degenerate into. And then we got the final one. You know, everybody's got network guys who got things to talk about. Colin Cowherd, Fox, just crushed Donald Trump over the weekend. Just a rip job for Trump. Do we have any barbed wire? Do I need asbestos shoes to do this segment?
You're gonna get some shots on social media for this.
So Colin Cowherd goes on and says, we're just tired of hearing about your life's grievances, Donald Trump. You use the word rigged. You should be using the word about yourself, fraud. He made reference to Fox News lying round the clock. It's Trump's version of fake news is Fox News. He challenged the GOP in Washington. How can you look yourself in the mirror when you kiss the ring and genuflect with this guy? And then he finished up his commentary. Colin Cowherd said, when all your inner circle are convicted felons, what are you?
Yeah.
He just zinged Trump. And then as a follow-up at the end of the trial and all this, Eric and Donald Trump Jr. are just tweeting nonstop about what our country is. And he called it a piece of bleep country, to which I almost went crazy on X. I was going to tweet back, yeah, that's the truth. Trump family equals POS family. Just nonstop. Now, I don't talk politics much on this podcast, but I'm sorry. Trump is pathologically immoral. Period, exclamation point, end of my grievance. But when Colin Cowherd, he just went out and popped him. So those are topics on the table. So, John, you can comment on T.J. Simers. I'll be working somewhere. Where are you going to be working? Talk about Sir Charles. We'll talk about the newspaper business and then talk about Colin Cowherd versus Donald Trump versus Hacksaw.
Versus Hacksaw. Just some quick hits on each of these. The Trump-Cowherd thing was amazing, and it was crossing over outside the world of sports on social media. And Cowherd was just zinging them. And one of the comments I thought was interesting is he said, the case went 34-0. He says, we live in a world there's so much disagreement. Nobody goes 34-0. No one goes 34-0 in sports. Yep. So that was funny. The Washington Post, the newspaper industry is just going to hell. It's been that way. I even saw a proposal that Congress was considering trying to take money away from social media companies and give it to local journalists, local newspapers. And that's not necessarily the right answer, but yeah, that's a problem right now with investigative reporting. I agree. Inside the NBA, those guys are all going to find a job somewhere. They're probably going to pick up all four of them and plug them in, to Amazon or wherever they land. And then finally, the LA Times bit. I'm a little bit confused because T.J. Simers was an LA Times guy, but he was in San Diego, right?
He came here from the Chicago Sun-Times, hired as a columnist by the Union Tribune, and did that role pretty well, pretty controversially, and then exited there and went to the LA Times and worked there for a long time till the whole episode with age discrimination, lawsuits, etc. He tried to go to work for the Orange County Register. He was what I would call, and I can identify with this, an acquired taste. You have to understand who he was and what he thought his role was. And sports people I crossed paths with were terminally pissed every time there was something on page 2 because he mocked them or he critiqued them or he held them up to the light and say, look at these people. I mean, he had a brutal relationship. I think he's the one that coined the phrase, terrible Tom Werner and the team of 15 that had the fire sales here.
Oh, yeah.
And he took it a step beyond that when he went to L.A., and he was dealing with Frank and Jamie McCourt and grand theft, the Dodger Blue Foundation bankruptcy, and what they did to the bloody franchise. Anyhow, acquired taste.
Well, acquired taste journalists like you are fantastic. I mean, that's what we like to listen to and talk about. But there's been a lot of really good columnists with the L.A. Times. There was another guy there. His first name was Jim something. And I remember he had an excellent column there for decades. So they're
all over the place. And most of them are unemployed right now.
Well, yeah. There's nowhere to go for those people.
Exactly. So, and was I correct? The initials TJ actually did stand for total jerk.
It reminds me of George Costanza. You going to the jerk store, that whole bit on Seinfeld.
Interesting. And I feel sad because I tried to track TJ down about a month ago and just to tell him I was thinking of him, and unfortunately I just could not get hold of him, and he passed away last night. Interesting guy. I don't know if the LA Times or the UT will write anything about him, but in his sense, in his time, he was really different. As I said, acquired taste. Hey, our Monday bonus podcast is about to turn the page. We're getting ready for Fans Forum. This podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. 9 stores to serve you in San Diego. You got projects. We want you to contact them at DIXIELINE, and by North County Eye Center, Poway and Escondido. You need help with your eyes. They are now offering for all of our viewers free eye exams and a discount on frames. Pick up the phone, make an appointment. Make sure you tell them Hacksaw sent you. North County Eye Center. Oh, we might be here from now till Wednesday night. We have a few thousand people lined up in Fans Forum who got questions. We got answers. John, it's your segment. Please go ahead and counter to them.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of good comments here, including some Trump comments. Oh, my God. Okay, let's go to Roberto. He says, Hacksaw, should Matsui not come in the 9th inning yesterday?
Well, they overused the bullpen leading up. I mean, they threw Suarez back-to-back days. You can't ask Suarez, power pitcher, to come out and throw a third straight day. Colic, who's the Rule 5 draftee, he's kind of hit a wall, and they're going to have to make a decision. If they can't get him back on the beam, The only way they get him off the roster is they have to offer him back. Was it Seattle or Cleveland? They have to offer him back
Seattle.
to wherever they got him in the Rule 5. Or they can trade a player, say, Seattle, we want to send Colin to AAA El Paso to straighten him out. How about taking this guy from our farm system? So they got a decision that they got to make there. Matsui had to pitch because everybody else had been pretty much extended. I don't know if the league is caught up to Matsui. He's had some outings here where he can't locate the pitch or he's been teed off on. I just think they need to be judicious how many times they're going to go to Robert Suarez and obviously Jeremiah Estrada in front of him because they used him back-to-back days. You can't do it for a third time. There's too much physical risk. That's a valid question, but that's the explanation.
Yeah, it was just that took the wind out of the room, didn't it? Yep. It's like felt it in your gut when the Padres blew that game. But there was no one else in the bullpen they could have gone to. I mean, I was surprised that King, who was fantastic, he went 7. Maybe he could have gone an 8th inning or even further.
Yeah, but he was at 98 pitches and had scuffled to get to 98 pitches. And again, there's the health issue. You could send him out for an extra inning and he's fatigued. And what if he gets nicked? What if he gets hurt? You don't want to do that. Thank you for the Padre question. Next one.
Okay, let's go to John here. It says, concur on your one man's opinion. The Padres need to beat the competition and sign Trevor Bauer.
Okay, that's one vote for Trevor Bauer. I think it's win-win. They need help. He needs a job. They set the rules. He abides by the rules. If he runs off the road, he's out. Big believer, second chance. In this case, second chance equals last chance. Next topic on the table.
Okay, next, let's go to Steve. Damn, Saw, you're right again. The Oilers versus Panthers. I hate both teams, so I hope they beat the crap out of each other. Go Florida. I hate any Canadian team.
Here's the issue. Florida is physical. Florida's big. Florida leads the world in penalty minutes. If they put Edmonton on the power play, Oilers are going to score. I've never seen a playoff team because ice is so impossible to operate on the playoffs because it's tight checking and it's just physical. I've never seen a power play team score 19 goals in a series or in the whole playoffs. That's what Edmonton has done. And, of course, the other statistic, the other end, Edmonton has killed off 28 straight power plays that the other guy has had. So it's a really good team. And it takes time. I mean, this is the first time the Oilers have gotten to the finals in the Connor McDavid era, and he has really carried that franchise. But it takes time to learn how to win and march through the playoffs. And, boy, right now they're hitting on all cylinders, and Florida's a really deep team. And I love Paul Maurice's comments about physicality and borderline hits, and nobody's been arrested.
Well, how are the finals structured? First of all, who has home ice advantage? And then is it 2-2-1-1-1 or is it 2-3-2?
No, 2-2-1-1-1.
Okay, and then who has home ice?
I think it's Florida. And, the other issue is these series grind, and there's only one day off in between. So it's tough.
That's a lot of travel.
Oh, yeah. And, Edmonton to Miami?
Yeah, exactly.
You think?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the NHL, they won't say it. I think they really wanted the Big Apple against the big boys in Edmonton in the finals.
Yeah, of course. If not them, then Boston, right?
Yeah. So next question.
All right, let's go down the list here, and we'll go to Richard. And he says, Fans Forum, Bauer will be motivated to keep a low profile. A solid Bauer will keep the criticism down. Look no further than Barry Bonds. People look the other way because of his home run.
In San Francisco, they did. He was public enemy number one everywhere and has been public enemy number one since that point in time. Just check the out-of-town scoreboard in Cooperstown, New York, Hall of Fame votes. So it's a big issue. I mean, there's no way unless A.J. Preller is going to execute a trade to get a young pitcher, a proven commodity, but he's going to have to give up something to get it. This is a one-year rental. $2.5 million minimum for a veteran who's 80 and 53 maybe. And you put in incentive clauses. If he gives you 5 quality starts, he gets this amount of money. If it's 10 quality start, And if you step over the line, you got to give that incentive money back. And I think he minds his P's and Q's because he's pitching for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I think there's way more upside than downside. The Padres have a problem, and he's just sitting out there like on a silver platter.
And he's been pitching, so it's like, give me the ball, get the hell out of the way. I've been in the rotation in Mexico City.
Yeah.
Let me go.
So, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Just a little tangent here on Barry Bonds. I saw a documentary on Willie Mays recently that was really good. And Barry Bonds, of course, was his godson. But I think that's the most I've ever seen Barry Bonds like in front of a camera talking. Because he's usually very private, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he was a great player in Pittsburgh with the Pirates. And he kind of stepped over the line, and Jim Leland stepped all over him. He got to San Francisco, and then he became arrogant, and then obviously he was doing steroids, and he got dragged into the Balco case, and he denied everything. And at the end of the day, he put up astronomical numbers. At the end of the day, he's not in Cooperstown because of what he did in the steroid era. He and a whole bunch of other people.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Next question.
Keep moving on. Let's go to Octavio. I really think it's a cancerous front office issue with the Padres. I'm going to the 3 games in Anaheim, and maybe I'll bring a broom so they can't start taking Polaroids with it and learn to sweep teams.
Interesting, because they've had such bad series. A crap series with Colorado, the bad loss to Miami, what just happened on Sunday in Kansas City. No, they're not going to lose a game to the Angels. They're not going to lose 2 games to the Angels. Hell, they're not going to lose all 3 to the Angels or 7-21.
They'll never do that.
But this is a real tough stretch. Padres, I think, are playing 13 games in 14 days with a battered pitching staff. And their big 3 is not really hitting very well. Luckily, they're playing the Halos right now, but they're going to go away again. They're going to have to go play the Phillies, have to go play the Mets, and the Mets are a mess right now. But the Phillies lead the world in every category offensively going into Citizens Bank Ballpark. So let's just see what happens with these 3 games. But this pitching thing is a big issue because they got nothing at AAA. I mean, if they're bringing up Adam Mazur to throw Tuesday night, he's got a 7.11 ERA in the Coast League. How do you think that equates to Major League Baseball?
Well, he did really well in AA, and that's the league that counts, and you're not playing at elevation. I think it's cool they're giving these young guys a shot. And he was, the pitcher of the year in the Big Ten. He's 23 years old. He's not like, a 17, 18-year-old kid. This feels right, so give him the opportunity, and hopefully he can grasp the day.
Why not Adrian Morejon and Johnny Brito on a bullpen day? Morejon's pitched really well, and he stayed healthy. If you could extract 3 innings from him and 3 innings from Brito, and then you get yourself to why not that?
Well, I would just keep Brito in the bullpen. Let Morejon be a legit starter. I mean, he could go 6, 7, 8 innings. I mean, he looks so much better now than he has in the past.
Next question, Fans Forum continues.
Fans Forum. Okay, let's go here to Kevin. He says, hello, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Love your informative take on sports. Who are you taking in the NBA Finals? I like Dallas.
Kevin is going to be buying us breakfast. Do you like pancakes or do you like omelets? Boston. Too much firepower, Boston. Too much depth, Boston. Luka and Kyrie are going to get their buckets for Dallas, but there's just... In 15 seconds, would you please go on Google, punch up the Boston Celtics roster, Boston Celtics statistics, and then argue with me? Boston's too deep. They got unbelievable athletes. And when I go to the bench, they bring in the old dog Al Horford at age 38, who scores 24 points in a game and hits 7 threes. And by the way, rebounds and block shots. Boston's been building towards this. They, to me, look like a just complete basketball team. And Dallas has worked hard to get some support people. But, Derek Lively and the young pup they've got as his backup, Daniel Gafford. I just don't know that they're going to be able to hold up against Jason Tatum. And who the hell's going to defend all the other shooters Boston's got? Boston, send the car. You can pick us up. John and I will be ready at 8 a.m. when the series is over to buy us breakfast.
Well, I think it's obvious the Celtics are just loaded. But I'm kind of rooting for Mark Cuban. I like Mark Cuban, just as a guy, as an entrepreneur, and as a celebrity team owner. I think he's one of the good guys. So my heart's with Dallas.
You got to screw loose. Mark Cuban. Big Mark Cuban fan. First one I think I've ever met. Next question.
Okay, let's go to 4RXLA. He says, the Lakers appear to be in a state of paralysis. What do they need to do to move forward and be competitive?
Got to make a decision on who the coach is going to be. They did bring in James Borrego, who's the key assistant in New Orleans, who's also interviewing in Cleveland. They brought him in for a second meeting. He did meet with Jeannie Buss finally. But this rumor out there, it just won't go away, XLA. This rumor about J.J. Redick making phone calls about this will be my staff when I get hired to be coach of the Lakers. I find it hard to believe that they would hire a guy that's never coached anywhere, not as an assistant, not as a college coach. They're just going to give him the tablet and you're the guy. And by the way, make sure you control LeBron and AD. I don't understand this, but they got to make a decision on a coach pretty darn quickly.
I just hope they hire Redick, and I hope it turns into a circus, because it's just such the LA thing to go and get some celebrity, personality there. Again, it's like the strategy part. We said the Angels can't figure out their strategy. The Lakers, I don't get it. I mean, you got two big guys that are fantastic, but after that, I just don't know how all the pieces fit.
33 players Rob Pelinka's dragged in there in 4 years. From the Carmelo Anthonys to the Dwight Howards to the Russell Westbrooks, trading guys away, bringing other young guys in. Guys are really inconsistent. It's amazing. You stand there, and I've been at the Crypto.com arena, and I've been there before they changed the name, and you see the banners, and it's just awe-inspiring. And then you look at the teams they're putting on the floor. Lakers basketball equals mediocrity right now. Everybody's excited. Lakers got to the play-in game in the NBA, finished 8th or 9th. That's Lakers basketball with all the banners, and you're excited they're 8th or 9th?
Well, the standard for mediocrity with the Lakers is different than the standard for mediocrity with the rest of the league. Because, if you made the West Finals last year and you made the playoffs this year, that's better than mediocre, but you expect the Lakers to be in another pedestal.
That's what those 18 banners across the rafters at Crypto.com tells you.
Exactly.
Next question.
Okay, let's go to Phyllis. He has comment for today. As a Canadian, I'm happy that the Oilers are in the Cup final. Mainly McDavid and how do you say Drysdale and the Draisaitl, pardon me, and the top players on Oilers. But if Florida takes it, I'll be happy for Maurice.
Maurice and that management team have put together a really rock solid team. They skate, they hit, their four lines can score. Bobrovsky is pretty good in goal. I guess the burning question, and I will be wearing Oiler gear on Thursday. Just
good.
Violate the dress code.
Okay.
Only question: which Stuart Skinner shows up in goal? He played so well on Sunday. When they got outshot 35-10, he stoned them. But this is also the Stuart Skinner who gives up bad goals, gives up goals from the weirdest angles that I've ever seen, and a goaltender. And I'm huge on body language. He starts fighting the puck, and he starts backing into the crease. And holy cow, they're in trouble. They cannot afford to have an old Stuart Skinner have all these nightmares in goal. He's got to be at the edge of the blue making the key saves. The game against Dallas, even though he got outshot 35-10, he did not give up rebounds, and that was a huge, huge issue. And he didn't let any junk in from bad angles. I've never seen a goaltender, and the guys on the O Canada Network can comment on this. I've never seen a goaltender see a winger out here right along the goal line, get that shot off, and it goes in the net. The guy is almost even with him. We're not talking about a guy blasting a slap shot from here or a guy in the slot in the middle. We're talking about these bad angle goals, and it keeps happening to Skinner. So they need him to show up, but it'll be fun. There will be a few assaults on that ice. There will be a few power plays, but they got 19 power plays on their resume. Power play goals, Edmonton. I think it's going to be a cool series.
Well, you're obviously an Oiler homer. But you have worn the gear on the podcast a few times. I want to go back to the Panthers. This whole thing about the rats, is that like for the hat tricks, or what is that for?
No, that's just to salute the team when they win.
Oh, just when they win.
When they first went there and they first got good, they've been bad for a while. Mm-hmm. The franchise, I think, has been there since 1999. They played in this arena, and they had rodent problems. That's the simplest thing to say. And they had to stop one game because a rat got in underneath the boards and ran out on the ice during the game. And one of the Panther players slap shot at the rat over the glass.
Oh, wow.
Got him out of the rink. And it became a tradition. It's like the Detroit Red Wings. Mm-hmm. They have the tradition of octopus. You throw an octopus on the ice when they win or play well. So the plastic rat has become the thing in Miami or in, Sunrise, Florida.
Well, the funny part of that is that we were just talking about rodents before we kicked off the podcast with rattlesnakes and stuff.
Rattlesnakes in my yard. Please don't go there. I hate reptiles.
Okay, let's move on. Let's go here to Colin. He says, Lee, I'm so torn about who to root for in the Cup final. Been leaning towards Edmonton for McDavid, but Florida has a really good goaltending. What say you?
Oh, I think it's going to be a great series. And you got big and physical, and you got tough, and you got Paul Maurice, and there will be some assaults on the ice against Oiler players, and we'll see how the Oilers respond. respond when they have the man advantage. The coolest thing in Edmonton, John, I think I've texted you back and forth, is the pregame ceremony where they sing "O Canada" and then they sing the national anthem. And the Oilers have a guy who's an operatic singer who sings it in the stands. He's in the middle of the fans. And
right on.
I said, "Oh, Canada," and then the fans take over and they sing the rest. It's just really the cool thing that they got going there in Edmonton.
Well, do they show that on television?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will watch when they play in Edmonton. You definitely got to see the first 5 minutes before the game actually starts.
Perfect. Looking forward to it.
It's so cool. Oh, Canada Network, thank you for joining us. John, a couple of more here.
Okay, here we go with some of the Trump comments. So this is from Victor. Hacksaw, love your sports analysis, but I disagree with your take on Trump. Biden is one of our worst presidents. Things are not going well in this country, and people are mad at Biden. Love the show.
Love the show because the damn show is good. Mm-hmm. All the Trumpers, the 6 of you out there, the Trumpers are screaming, First Amendment, right for free speech. I'm invoking First Amendment. Hacksaw has an entitlement to say what he thinks, and that is what I think. Please don't stand there and sales pitch me on this live stream that January 6th never happened. Please don't live stream me about the E.G. Carroll lawsuit. Please don't live stream me and say he wasn't found guilty. And I go on and on and on, but I don't want to be here till breakfast at Wednesday detailing all the things I think about the person. Hey, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm definitely entitled to my opinion. That's what I'm saying. And politically, if you don't like it, separate yourself politically. Enjoy our sports podcast. And then when you get your own YouTube channel, email me and you can talk politics on your YouTube channel. Oh, I get bombarded. You can't. I've sent him some of my emails that I've gotten from followers on my website and people on this podcast. Oh, you're entitled to your opinion, but I'm not entitled to my opinion? What's with that?
Well, everybody loves free speech until someone says something they don't like, right? So I just want to get just one more in here, and this is from David. He says, Trump going to look hilarious without his hairstylist in prison.
I tell you what, I watched a lot of the information about the trial. I thought the judge did an unbelievable, admirable job controlling the damn thing. At the end of the day, it was his courtroom. It was his trial. And there's not going to be any theatrics. And by the way, Trump, you kept telling all your followers you were going to testify and tell the story. Or you didn't testify. Why? Because if he had testified, he probably would have perjured himself about a whole bunch of different things. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, if he does not win, there'll be 3 other trials that are going to take place. And he could wind up in prison. And that would be absolutely amazing. I don't know what the zip code is for Austining, New York, and Sing Sing.
Yeah.
Or do you know what the zip code is for Alcatraz? No, I shouldn't be talking about that. We're talking sports.
Well, speaking of sports, did you ever see the comment that Trump said when he was in high school that he was a really good baseball player? And he said that he could have been a pro. So I don't know. I just thought it was just more, Trump con man talking. Okay.
All I know is, can we please get to November 6th real quick?
Yeah, we're going to get there soon. Okay, let's go here to Charlie. He says, did Preller and the Padres fail once again to do due diligence with the news that Tucupita Marcano, Preller has an addiction of re-signing players he drafted and traded away. I saw a note from someone else in the live stream. Apparently, he got busted, Marcano, for gambling. Wow.
Well, if that's the case, then he'll be on the commissioner's exempt list for a period of time, too.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, we talked about Ohtani, his personal aide, Mizuhara. Now it's spread to David Fletcher, the ex-Angel shortstop, who was a close friend of Ohtani. And now it's spread to one of Fletcher's best friends in the minor leagues, who was actually placing bets on baseball. And now I got the probe about the investigation. Did Fletcher give his best friend inside information to bet on Angel games that Fletcher was playing in? This is troublesome. I think it's other places, because not everybody's smart. Not everybody knows right from wrong. There's a lot of stupid people under Major League Baseball contracts that may have gotten involved with people placing bets. I don't think we've heard the end of the story, but the rule is there. The Joe Jackson rule: you bet on baseball, your life is over as far as being a baseball player. So,
well, Marcano was coming back from that blown ACL. I think
he was in Pittsburgh.
He was. And then I think the Padres signed him. He's in the minor leagues here. And I was kind of rooting for him, to kind of get back on track. And, just to see it end this way. But they've got to be hardcore policing this. You can't have any monkey business.
Yeah. Well, like I've said, we've talked extensively about MLB's division of investigative groups. There are retired FBI guys employed by baseball. They will find the information, and they have the power to get the information. And that's why this Mizuhara thing just exploded so quickly, and why all that evidence came front and center. But I think there are other players out there, not a lot, but other players out there that are involved in this kind of stuff.
Okay, here's just a quick one from Colin. Rats in Florida, octopus in Detroit, catfish in Nashville, and salmon in Seattle love hockey traditions.
And I tell you what, the most unique tradition is these guys beat on each other for 7 games, and there's a lot of angst, and there's a lot of things that happen. There's a lot of things that get said. And when the game is over, they shake hands. When the 7th and final game of the playoffs are over, they shake hands. That's pretty doggone impressive.
Yeah, it's incredible how tough those players are.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable.
It's, to me, Stanley Cup, toughest trophy in sports to go get. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed our Monday bonus podcast, politics included, and the stories we've told about strippers and TJ Simers and all the other storylines in sports. We want you to share with all your friends what we're doing on Mondays and Thursdays. We want you to subscribe. Subscribe so that you'll get all the alerts when we put stuff up on the YouTube channel. I want you to tell your friends. Go to my website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. It's all written. It's there every day. It's really different. You won't find this on any damn talk show. You won't find this from any of your TV sports anchors who have a minute, 15 seconds on television. And you won't find it in your damn newspaper. But it's there every morning, and it's absolutely free. And while you're there, join Hacksaw's Insiders Group so you'll be on our email list for all the other things we do. Podcast brought to you by North County Eye Center, Poway and Escondido. Just remember the offer. Free eye exam. Just give them a call. Say thanks for being part of Hacksaw's podcast. Can I schedule a free eye exam right now? And by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you. John, here we go. Back here Thursday at 1. Yeah, we'll find a few more topics on the table without a political tinge to anything.
Yeah, the politics creeps in every once in a while. It's hard to avoid these days.
Hey, and thanks for being with us. Great to have you part of our team. Hope you're enjoying what we're doing. Tell everybody about Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast app.
Touchdown, San Diego!
For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.